Hello. Over the course of this semester, we have decided to research Netflix for our strategic IT project. Over the course of this presentation, you will hear about the background of the company, the strategy used by the company, the value chain and how IT is used within it, some IT exemplars, the competitors of Netflix, future initiatives of the company, the benefits of the company, and a conclusion and overview of our research. Netflix was founded in California in 1997. They began their business with a DVD by mail service that was only provided throughout the US. As times have changed, so has the company and so has their business model. And with the current times, they now have shifted into an online market where they provide online streaming globally. They do have a strong prevalence still in the United States, however, they have also expanded to 190 countries. And per day, throughout those 190 countries, 140 million hours of TV shows and movies are viewed. Before their time, there was no such thing as binge watching, and commercials were highly incorporated into TV shows. However, Netflix has eliminated the need for commercials with their has eliminated the need for commercials and has promoted binge watching by including multiple seasons of certain episodes and full series of movies, allowing the user to just continue and as the episode ends, continue on to the next one. As they shifted into the online market, they have accumulated a significant amount of subscribers. They have a total of over 1 million paid subscribers currently, and they are the first and only streaming service to have met that milestone. Additionally, their financials are consistently trending upwards, and if you look at the NASDAQ number for their total revenue as of December 31st, 2017, they had over $11 million in revenue. And that's almost a $3 million increase from the previous year. Netflix has established themselves as a seemingly unbeatable force in video streaming and continuously makes changes and updates in order to maintain their monopoly.
What separates Netflix from other large companies is the way it gathers information from its users. Instead of posts that can be used on other platforms, Netflix works with viewer habits and behaviors. Viewers merely watch shows and movies, and Netflix processes this data into something that they can use specifically to develop recommendations as a way to keep users watching new shows and movies. There are essentially 3 steps to this analysis process. The first piece is from the users. So Netflix gathers what viewers are watching, what they stop watching, when they stop watching, what a viewer searches for, and whether or not they like a show. Next, Netflix has a freelance tagging team which watches every episode of every show and every movie they watch and tags each episode for various different things. This includes where the setting is, what a main character job is, who's in the show, everything in the show. And then all of this information is compiled into implicit and explicit data. The explicit data is a smaller piece of it, so whether or not someone physically likes the show on Netflix's platform. The implicit data is behavioral. So if a viewer watches an entire season of a show in one night, Netflix might not necessarily have them like the show, but they can tell they like the show just by their behaviors. So Netflix then processes all of this information into its algorithms and is able to create a specific recommendation list for each individual user. In 2016, Netflix decided to do a study to figure out what really causes viewers to watch a show. And they discovered that artwork accounts for over 82% of what viewers select to watch. On average, a viewer only considers a title of a show for 1.8 seconds. So Netflix came to the realization that the artwork and the font of the show really plays a role into what viewers select to watch. the aesthetic of this thumbnail plays a large role in whether or not an individual decides to watch a show. So Netflix decided to alter their algorithm a bit, and because of this, they now offer different thumbnails and different fonts for shows based on previous viewer history. So for an example, as you can see, for Good Will Hunting, if that is something that the algorithm decides that should be recommended to you, it will offer you various different thumbnails depending on what you've watched in the past. So if you've watched a lot of romantic comedies or romance shows in general, you might get an image of Matt Damon and Minnie Driver kissing. But if you watch more comedies, it's very likely that instead you'll get a thumbnail of Robin Williams smiling. So Netflix really caters their thumbnail artwork, and specifically for their own Netflix original shows, the font of the show, based on what you've previously watched.
In this slide, I'm discussing how Netflix uses IT in their value chain. The three most significant ways that they use IT in their value chain are to allow for better future viewing recommendations to their customers, help them decide on certain purchasing decisions for new content, and aids them in deciding if a future project should be moved forward into production or should be scrapped. These three different ways help them save money and spend money selectively, which allows them to retain more profit. Firstly, allowing for them to provide better recommendations for their customers. Gretchen already went into that in a previous slide. However, just to reiterate, they use the data provided from multiple sources, both their customers' viewing habits and freelance taggers, as well as certain threads that emerge between TV shows, to promote shows that have similar interests or that similar viewers have watched to the customer. This helps in a very specified viewing selection for that customer and helps Netflix retain that customer as a valued viewer. It also helps them in, as I said, purchasing decisions for new content based on trending habits in what people are viewing in different locations around the world. This allows Netflix to specifically release certain shows and TV shows at certain locations globally, allowing them to have higher ratings on the TV shows they do purchase and not to spend money on wasteful TV shows or movie content. Thirdly, it helps them in deciding if their future projects should move forward or be scrapped, and this refers mostly to their personal content that they're creating, their original content, such as Stranger Things and House of Cards. These shows were strategically produced based on user preferences. This helps them gain a larger share of the market and obtain more viewers and more clients who want to view their shows. The special tailored home screens and specific tailored client preferences help them acquire a large share of the global viewing market.
I will be talking about Netflix and their competitors. So when you or I think about Netflix and who their competitors would be, we would think more of like Hulu, Amazon, or HBO, which is what I decided to discuss in this presentation. But actually, when Netflix was asked who their competitors are, they said that it could be anything that takes up a consumer's time. For example, this could be reading a book, watching YouTube videos, playing video games, going on Facebook, maybe going out to dinner with friends, having a glass of wine with somebody, or just some things like that. And those are actually exactly things that Netflix said when a customer asked them who they considered their competition. So Netflix provides shows and movies, but they only provide them to consumers after they've already premiered or the whole season's come out, and they do this months afterwards. Meanwhile, Hulu and Amazon and even HBO are coming out with more recent movies, more recent TV shows. Hulu even partnered with Spotify, so if Spotify has a user who is paying for the Spotify premium experience, they also gain access to Hulu Plus. And then additionally, if you pay extra money each month for Hulu, you can also have access to HBO. So these are just some of the things that kind of set their competitors apart from Netflix. But Netflix also has the idea where if you pay your monthly fee for their website, you have access to everything on it. You're not having to pay an extra fee like you do with Hulu and HBO. Amazon's a little bit different, where if you have an Amazon Prime account, which is about $99 a year, you have access to a wide variety of movies and shows. However, if you want to watch the newer releases, you do have to pay about $3 for a rental. So the added fees are kind of things that would turn people away from Hulu, HBO, and Amazon and would direct them towards Netflix in their streaming experience. Next, I'm going to speak to Netflix's future initiatives. So, as mentioned earlier, they are working on producing more Netflix originals, and actually they're trying to enter into the reality TV sector of the market. This will be interesting because it is something that tons of people are watching now. It's consuming a lot of people's time, so they think that that unscripted reality TV could be something really neat to venture into next. Additionally, back in 2016, they said that they would like to invest $800 million into their technology. And so with this, they really wanted to focus on getting a better high-resolution screening experience for people, because if you have like a blurry screen during your movie, that's not really making an enjoyable experience. And then also they wanted easier access to information about movies and TV shows so that you could just simply scroll over the picture and find out who the actors were in the movie, a little brief background information, maybe a little summary. And now they even have the feature where if you scroll over some things, it gives you the trailer. So that's actually really helpful in creating a smoother streaming experience for the consumer. They're also working on partnering with hundreds of different internet service providers to try and implement Netflix Open Connect. This is trying to help make sort through the trafficking of all the people going on websites at once in a household. So this would make it so Netflix is not as disrupted, no lags in video, quicker loading time, just to really make that experience great. And then lastly, when they were asked about virtual reality, they were pretty into that as something that they would explore in the future. So who knows, maybe we could have some 3D videos coming out of Netflix. That'd be pretty cool and honestly would really set them apart from their competition. So that's what they're working on.
Netflix incorporates all three pieces of the value discipline framework into their strategy. So for product leadership, Netflix began as an unlimited DVD rental service at a fixed rate in 1999 in hopes of solving the problem that customers faced with late fees on rentals. However, in 2007, Netflix changed with the times and began streaming to evolve to the needs of the customer. Netflix proves that it's devoted to providing the most efficient streaming service and continues to alter its program to meet the changing needs of customers. Netflix also continues to raise the bar for other streaming services and is known as the go-to streaming service, and also offers various different Netflix original shows that don't compare to other competitive streaming services. For customer intimacy, Netflix has altered its algorithms various different times, showing its devotion to bettering its product to meet the customer needs and desires. As an almost completely online business, it's impossible for Netflix to establish relationships with customers in person, which can hinder this customer intimacy because there's not a direct interaction with employees. However, Netflix continues to work to establish a personal connection to the company by improving and refining its recommendation system to personalize each customer's individual recommendation shows. For operational excellence, Netflix emphasizes consumer convenience because of its accessibility and the ease of its program. After a customer pays a simple fixed monthly rate, they have access to every show and every movie Netflix has to offer, making it very convenient for the customers. Because Netflix does not have brick and mortar stores with employees, they don't have that overhead cost, nor do they have to maintain that, so they can invest that money into different things that they offer, like their Netflix original shows.
This is Fiona speaking, and I chose to research the question, what do you think
has been the primary value realized by your company from its IT. So focusing mainly on the primary value that Netflix had realized, although it is a company focused mostly on IT, that's how its business model operates. The main IT benefit Netflix was able to maximize upon was the customizable outputs to consumers based on their viewing and search history, streaming location, genre preference, most popular movies and shows, totaling up from all data that they have, what's most popular, what comes out as their mode, their medians, just being able to compile that data through algorithms and then analyze it in order to provide the consumers with a customizable product. Linking back to what Gretchen had said about strategy as well, being able to offer them this product and then wrapped with a certain image, a thumbnail that would be even more appealing to its consumers. And although Netflix was established over 20 years ago, it was able to maintain its ability to stay current and popular in the field of modern technology, which is pretty unusual. If you look at a company like Blockbuster, on the other hand, they faced an issue with their business model. They weren't able to adapt to the change in consumer viewing habits that shifted from renting DVDs to streaming habits. Whereas Netflix, through its mass data compilation and analysis, was able to predict future trends in the market and see that streaming was becoming the majority share of its profit. So it was able to transfer almost all of its efforts and profit into that, just funneling money into streaming and making that the majority of the business model. So because Netflix knows the individual consumer so well based on this data compilation and analysis, it's able to constantly predict future market trends, and even quoted by Netflix, they say it allows them to enhance their brand and attractiveness of the service, which helps with member growth. So they're able to analyze how many members are joining Netflix, how many are leaving. I don't think that's as common, but how many are leaving based on the cost per hour viewed, allowing them to see, okay, which titles should we feature at the top of our page versus the bottom. So just overall data compilation and analysis. And the only con, which has come up in a lot of companies these days, is whether or not this data compilation and analysis through these algorithms is a breach of privacy. We've seen this through the Cambridge Analytica scandal, the Facebook scandal just a few weeks ago, and whether or not Netflix targeting its advertising and manipulating its data in order to customize advertising for each individual consumer, whether that's a breach of privacy. So going forward, we'll have to see what happens, but right now, I think everything looks good. Netflix is doing really well in the market. So I just wanted to say from Kayla, Gretchen, Kat, and I, thank you for watching our video. I hope that you enjoyed learning about Netflix through our strategic IT research. And if you have any questions or responses, feel free to comment in the comment section below. Thanks so much.